And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person...
With $100 million in her pocket.
For almost 2 decades, Ellen DeGeneres was daytime television's undisputed queen of wholesome fun. But behind the "Be Kind" slogans was an industry secret nobody dared to speak out loud. Now, comedic veteran Rob Schneider has finally broken Hollywood's unspoken code of silence to air Hollywood's dirtiest laundry about Ellen. What exactly did Schneider expose? And why is his commentary sending shockwaves through the entertainment world? The facade that fooled Hollywood for 2 decades. If you tuned into daytime TV in the early 2000s, it was pretty tough not to get drawn into The Ellen DeGeneres Show. This show had people dancing, and free trips and gift cards were being given away left and right, with Ellen herself coming across as the nicest person in Hollywood. Back in 2003, The Ellen DeGeneres Show hit daytime television like a breath of fresh air. You know, Ellen built this multi-million-dollar entertainment empire on one simple idea, which is kindness. She'd dance with her audience, give brand new cars to families who really deserved them, and always ended the show with her famous line, "Be kind to one another." For millions watching at home, she was like the warm, friendly, and morally upright guide of daytime TV. But as the show got bigger and bigger, a totally different reality was playing out behind the cameras. Well, backstage, the lower-level staff quickly figured out that the happy and warm personality seen on television did not match the actual workplace environment off-camera. Over time, all sorts of weird, unwritten rules started popping up among the production assistants and the technical crew. The most talked about one was this crazy rule about eye contact. Managers would constantly warn the crew members never to look Ellen directly in the eye, or even to start a casual chat if they happened to pass her in the hallway. This led to a quiet atmosphere where everyone felt like they were walking on eggshells, because messing up, even in a small way, could easily cost a junior staff member their job. The whole situation created a really obvious double standard across the studio. While A-list celebrity guests were constantly showered with gifts, made to feel super welcome, and got a lot of laughs, the production assistants, interns, and crew members were stuck in a much colder, stricter environment. And also, to keep Ellen out of the loop when it came to everyday complaints from the staff, they set up a really strong buffer system. The executive producers like Ed Glavin, Kevin Lehman, and Jonathan Norman basically acted as her enforcers. They handled any staff issues with an iron fist, controlling the high-pressure workplace and making sure Ellen was totally shielded from any direct problems. For years, you'd hear quiet warnings circulating within the stand-up comedy scene and among people who had worked in daytime TV production for a while. But, for the most part, mainstream news outlets didn't pay much attention to those early rumors. The reason was probably because the show had massive ratings and brought in huge amounts of advertising money. The Ellen DeGeneres Show was a huge success in syndication and made millions of dollars for Warner Brothers. At the same time, the Hollywood establishment pretty much protected the show, giving it tons of daytime Emmy Awards and other prestigious honors for humanitarian work. All this constant praise from the industry really solidified this squeaky clean public image, completely overshadowing the private issues people were experiencing. While the public bought into the dancing, laughter, and daily giveaways, the tension behind the scenes was reaching a boiling point. It would take a few unforgettable on-air moments to expose the reality of what was happening on set, the silent reign of terror. When a television show spends nearly 20 years selling pure joy to millions of households, the last thing anyone expects is for a global crisis to pull back the curtain. In early 2020, as the pandemic shut down studios across Los Angeles, the carefully guarded workplace environment at The Ellen DeGeneres Show finally cracked open. While regular crew members were left sitting at home with no clear answers about their pay or job security, the show hired an outside, non-union tech crew to broadcast directly from Ellen's mansion. For stagehands and technicians who had given years to the program, that move felt like a total betrayal. It proved to be the tipping point that broke a silence spanning almost 2 decades. By July 2020, the beans spilled automatically. BuzzFeed News published a major investigative report where ex-employees stepped forward to share what really happened inside the studio. Dozens of former workers willingly risked breaking strict non-disclosure agreements to speak out. They described a fear-based workplace marked by routine intimidation and harsh treatment from management. Junior staff talked about being fired for taking medical leave or attending family funerals. For years, the host's famous "Be Kind" motto had made it nearly impossible for anyone to take these complaints seriously because public devotion to her TV personality protected the show from outside criticism. As more employees came forward, the allegations escalated from general workplace mistreatment to severe executive misconduct. Specific complaints targeted the show's top leadership, particularly executive producers Ed Glavin, Kevin Lehman, and Jonathan Norman. Employees detailed instances of inappropriate physical touching, crude remarks, and racially insensitive comments directed at minority crew members. The workplace culture had become so toxic that many employees reported suffering from chronic anxiety, constantly worrying that a single minor mistake would end their careers. The buffer system built to protect the host was suddenly exposed as a cover for widespread administrative abuse. Immediately, the public reaction forced parent company Warner Media to launch a formal internal investigation. By August 2020, Glavin, Lehman, and Norman were officially fired from the production. When the show returned for its 18th season that fall, Ellen delivered a direct on-air apology during her opening monologue. She took responsibility for what happened on her set, promising a fresh start for the crew. However, the response was far from forgiving. Many former employees and industry critics viewed the apology as a calculated PR move that shifted structural blame onto her executive team while avoiding personal accountability. While staff stories opened the dam, it was Ellen's awkward, uncomfortable interactions with her celebrity peers that proved the toxicity was not just happening off-camera. When Dakota and Mariah pulled the thread, the first cracks in the armor. You see, most of the time, talk show interviews are like a little dance between the host and the guest. The celebrity is expected to be all smiles, share a funny story they've probably approved beforehand, and push their new movie or whatever, all while making the host look good. But every once in a while, someone refuses to play along, and the illusion shatters on live television. In November 2019, actress Dakota Johnson sat on Ellen's couch for what was supposed to be a standard promotional segment. When Ellen tried to joke that she had not been invited to Dakota's 30th birthday party, Dakota did not laugh it off at all. She looked Ellen right in the eyes and said, "Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited." She went on to explain that Ellen was invited, but didn't show up. Dakota Johnson even checked with the producers to confirm it. The moment was calm, but the impact was massive. Within hours, the clip spread across the internet, sparking memes and opening up a public conversation about how Ellen treated people when the camera was rolling. This viral moment was like a key in a long-locked door. Suddenly, viewers started re-examining years of archival footage with a critical eye. People quickly remembered an uncomfortable 2008 interview with pop icon Mariah Carey. In 2008, rumors had been flying that Carey was pregnant, but she wanted to keep the news private. On live television, Ellen handed her a glass of champagne to force her to drink, effectively trapping her into revealing the secret. Carey pretended to sip to play along with Ellen, but shortly after the video aired, she miscarried. Years later, Carey admitted how deeply uncomfortable that situation made her feel. As fans looked back, more uncomfortable interviews resurfaced. Viewers pointed to moments where Ellen made fun of Sofia Vergara's accent or pushed Taylor Swift to talk about her private dating life, while Swift visibly begged her to stop. All of these segments revealed a clear pattern. The show often relied on host-driven traps, where guests were put on the spot in front of a live audience. If a celebrity tried to push back, they risked coming across as cold or bad-tempered, leaving them with little choice but to swallow their discomfort. By late 2019 and early 2020, social media channels were flooded with breakdowns of these old clips, while public relations firms in Hollywood quietly took notice. High-profile publicists began advising their clients to exercise caution when booking appearances on the show. worried that a fun promotional stop could quickly turn into an awkward viral nightmare. As the public turned, Hollywood elites kept silent to protect their careers. But then, it took veteran comedian Rob Schneider stepping into the spotlight to finally break the code of silence and say the quiet part out loud. Rob Schneider breaks the code, calling out Hollywood's ultimate hypocrisy. In Hollywood, there is an unwritten rule that every working comedian should never publicly criticize top daytime TV hosts. For decades, those hosts held absolute power over movie promotions, stand-up tours, and national visibility. A single negative comment could get them quietly blacklisted from daytime television for years. This strict code of silence remained unbroken until veteran comedian Rob Schneider sat down in front of a studio microphone on The Megyn Kelly Show and decided to say out loud what the Comedy Room had been hinting at for decades. Schneider, a former Saturday Night Live cast member with over 30 years of experience in show business, brought a seasoned perspective to the entire workplace controversy. And he did not hold back when dissecting Ellen's public defense following her show's broadcast ending. When Ellen started claiming in interviews and stand-up sets that she was effectively driven out of show business simply for being mean, Schneider directly challenged that narrative. During his interview, Rob Schneider explicitly called out the logic of Ellen DeGeneres, claiming she was kicked out of show business or canceled simply for being mean. Schneider and Kelly pointed out the massive hypocrisy of claiming to be a victim of total career exile while concurrently releasing a multi-million-dollar global comedy special For Your Approval on Netflix. He argued that getting a massive streaming platform to air your grievances is a mark of extreme Hollywood privilege, not cancellation. More so, Schneider also called out what he saw as a complete lack of humility in how the situation was handled. Drawing on his long career as a touring comedian, he emphasized that authentic comedy is about self-deprecation or poking fun at authority, and never about mistreating junior staff members who lack the power to defend themselves. He argued that earning real public forgiveness requires clear accountability toward the production assistants, interns, and technical crew whose daily lives were disrupted on set. Instead of showing genuine humility toward those individuals, Schneider argued her official response seemed entirely focused on personal victimization. Beyond the specific set allegations, Schneider highlighted the deep double standards built within major entertainment networks. He pointed out that if a lesser-known performer, or someone who doesn't conform to specific political or cultural norms, makes a minor mistake, they are dropped instantly by Hollywood executives. Meanwhile, top-tier daytime hosts are insulated by power, massive revenue, and network protection, allowing toxic behavior to go unchecked for decades. Immediately, Schneider's interview reframed the narrative and proved that the issue was not just about one bad workplace, but about a protected system of power. To understand how out of touch ultra-wealthy celebrities can get, let's take a look at what happens when they try to apologize on a global stage while pocketing a massive fortune. The Netflix comeback that backfired. In September 2024, Netflix released Ellen DeGeneres' stand-up comedy special titled For Your Approval. It was marketed as her final, decisive media statement regarding her departure from daytime television. Instead of addressing the deep corporate issues and widespread employee mistreatment exposed during the 2020 workplace investigation, Ellen framed the entire situation around her own personal feelings. She told the audience that she was effectively kicked out of show business simply for being mean, reducing years of serious workplace complaints from lower-level staffers to a simple misunderstanding about her personality. This framing immediately rubbed critics and everyday viewers the wrong way. For millions of average working-class families watching at home, claiming to be canceled while taking home an estimated $20 million paycheck for a single streaming special felt completely absurd. The comedy routine spent considerable time focused on her lavish lifestyle, her high-end estate gardening projects, and how hard it was to lose her long-held daytime crown. Watching a wealthy Hollywood insider complain about career setbacks from the stage of a sold-out theater made it nearly impossible for everyday people to feel any real empathy. The disconnect between her world and standard workplace realities could not have been wider. Former crew members and production whistleblowers were quick to push back against her version of events. They reminded the public that the show did not end because of brief online criticism or simple hurt feelings. It collapsed because decades of fear, executive misconduct, and systemic mistreatment were brought into the light by dozens of brave employees. Critics pointed out that by brushing off those documented grievances as simple mean behavior, Ellen skipped any chance at genuine self-reflection or true accountability. Instead of healing her relationship with the public, the special only highlighted the growing gap between her public story and what really went on behind the scenes. Well, For Your Approval did not accomplish the triumphant comeback Ellen's management team had hoped for. Rather than restoring her former status as daytime television's beloved moral compass, it cemented the public view that her brand was permanently out of touch with reality. Now, to get why a place like that could last for almost 20 years, you need to know about something older TV executives used to call a sacred cow. The Sacred Cow Protection Program. Why the industry protected her for so long. In Hollywood, a sacred cow is an entertainer who generates so much money and cultural goodwill that standard workplace rules simply stop applying to them. When a daily show brings in hundreds of millions of dollars in syndication deals and national advertising, corporate leadership tends to look the other way. For companies like Telepictures and Warner Brothers, Ellen DeGeneres was far more than just a talk show host. She was an economic engine. As long as ratings stayed high and revenue checks kept clearing, the top brass had every financial reason to protect her television empire. Her groundbreaking history also gave the network a powerful defense shield. Back in the late 1990s, Ellen took a massive personal risk by coming out publicly on her sitcom, becoming a historic trailblazer for LGBTQ+ representation on broadcast television. This legacy earned her deep respect across the entertainment industry. Over the years, network executives and public relations teams pointed to her charitable giveaways and cultural impact whenever complaints about workplace conditions surfaced. This environment created a system where executives prioritized celebrity bookings and awards over the well-being of production assistants, drivers, and technical stagehands. Senior producers tightly controlled information, while junior crew members feared that speaking to the press could quietly end their careers. With studio executives, talent agencies, and major news outlets all benefiting from the show's commercial success, there was little incentive for anyone inside the system to speak out. However, traditional Hollywood executives failed to anticipate how rapidly the media landscape would change. Independent digital platforms, investigative commentary channels, and social media stripped away the gatekeeping power long held by studio PR teams. For the first time, former employees could reach massive audiences without relying on traditional news outlets. As those accounts spread online, the protection surrounding the show quickly collapsed. While Hollywood networks quietly began updating studio HR policies and tightening workplace standards, Ellen DeGeneres took a completely different exit route from the entertainment town that built her career. Life after the fall. In late 2024, Ellen packed up her Montecito properties, put her multi-million-dollar California real estate portfolio for sale, and left the United States altogether. She and her wife of more than 15 years, former actress Portia de Rossi, traded the non-stop pressure of Los Angeles and constant attention from the paparazzi for a peaceful life in England's Cotswolds, a scenic countryside region known for attracting celebrities who value their privacy. Their move across the Atlantic wasn't the result of just one event. It came after years of personal exhaustion, intense public criticism, and a growing feeling that it was time for a fresh start. Following the November 2024 U.S. presidential election, Ellen said the changing political climate, along with her desire to leave the Hollywood spotlight behind, played a major role in their decision to make England their permanent home. They swapped the stress of television and constant media attention for a historic farmhouse surrounded by open fields where Portia could keep her horses and they could care for rescued farm animals. Instead of trying to rebuild her television career, Ellen chose to step away from the entertainment industry that had brought her incredible success, but had also become the source of some of her toughest years. However, total exile from the Golden State didn't last forever. While the rolling hills of the English countryside offered a peaceful escape, the couple eventually decided to split their time, quietly purchasing a $27 million off-market mansion back in Montecito to escape the dreary British winters. Throughout everything, Portia de Rossi remained firmly by Ellen's side, helping her fully embrace a new life away from California real estate projects and television production. Friends and public records suggest the couple completely reshaped their daily lives, trading the fast pace of Hollywood for something much simpler. These days, Ellen spends much of her time overseeing renovations on their historic property, working in the garden, and enjoying a much slower routine. For someone who spent nearly 40 years under the bright lights of television studios, settling into a quiet English village represents a remarkable change. It also marks the end of an era for one of daytime television's biggest stars, whose life today looks nothing like the one that made her a household name. Now, do you think Ellen was genuinely the sole villain in this story? Or was she just the sacrificial lamb for a Hollywood system that still operates the exact same way behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe to this channel. To enjoy more content like this, tap on the next video on your screen.